This is the new Ghost 4K camera from Drift Innovation. This camera essentially uses the same chip that all the other sports cameras use. It's a 4K 30 frames per second camera. Where this camera really differs is the features that allow it to be a great camera for what we need in the aviation industry. First of all, the shape of it and size. If you compare it to a GoPro, if anything, it's a little bit smaller. And instead of having the lens on the fat part of the camera like a flying brick, we have the lens on the small part of the camera. So it's a nice streamlined shape. The other nice thing is, the GoPro mounting forks sometimes have their limitations, and this camera uses a standard 1/4-20 socket. So it opens us up to many more options for mounting. And with your GoPro or Garmin cameras, sometimes it's a challenge to level the camera depending on where you mount it. So with these cameras you have to actually level the entire camera, whereas with the Drift you just rotate the lens. So no matter what orientation the camera is, you rotate the lens to get your level shot. And lastly, the field of view of this camera is a 140-degree field of view, compared to a lot of other sports cameras on the industry that are more like 170-degree field of view, the fisheye lens. Sometimes those are great shots for like in the cockpit, but the downside of the GoPro style fisheye lens is if we're flying formation or we are shooting scenery in the distance, in the video it's going to look like it's much further away than it really was. There's nothing worse for a pilot than flying formation and you go and watch the video later and it looks like you were 3 times further away than you really were. So that's where the 140-degree lens works great for aviation. I would say it's closer to what we see with our naked eye. The camera comes with a Wi-Fi remote control wristwatch remote. This I've found not to be very reliable. It is really designed for the person that's going to mount the camera to their helmet or a short distance away from the remote control. If you're going to use the camera outside the aircraft, the Wi-Fi remote, anything beyond about 5 or 6 feet is not going to work all that well. But you can pair the remote and use it for short range operation. Otherwise, the Wi-Fi works really well. So we can turn Wi-Fi on with this camera and stream to our smart device and be able to control the camera, live stream video, and everything we need to do. With a lot of other cameras, battery life becomes an issue when you're using Wi-Fi. Typically, any sports camera with Wi-Fi, you'll cut your battery life in half, or your record time at least. The Drift 4K camera, the stock battery is a 500 milliamp battery, and there's an optional 1500 milliamp module. So what they've done is they've got these modules on here, and you just pop it off the back, and there's a few different modules you can choose from. This is what the camera comes with. It's a 500 milliamp battery pack, and then for $30 they have a 1500 milliamp battery pack. It's a little bit thicker than this one, and it pops into the same location. The other nice thing is if you want to physically have a LCD screen on here, there's a touchscreen module that will allow you to view the direction that the camera is facing and aim it, and touchscreen menu options. To put the modules in, there's a pin here that we need to push straight into the camera, so we just set the module straight in the camera and then press it in. So if we power the camera on, there's 3 buttons on top. We've got power, selection button, and then a menu button here. So we push and hold the power button. The camera powers up and you will see a green LED light. That means you're in standby mode, and the screen on the back of the camera mimics that also. So as you can see, the screen is pretty small. You can do general menu selection from it and basic operation, but the best way again is really to use the Wi-Fi with the app or use the touch LCD screen option. So to use the Wi-Fi app, you want to go and find the Drift Life app. If you search for apps under Drift Innovation, you'll see I think about 3 different apps. You want the one that's Drift Life, and this will set everything up for you. It guides you through it pretty well. So we go in here and we hit Connect Camera, and we choose our Ghost 4K, and it's going to tell you to turn the Wi-Fi on the camera. So to do that, you just hold the button and the light turns blue at first, and then it goes to green, saying that it's working. And then we go to our settings on our tablet and we turn on the Wi-Fi, and you'll see all the Wi-Fis that are available. You'll see the Ghost 4K. You select that. The first time you select it, you're going to have to put in a password. The password is in the instruction manual, and I think it's 1 through 9 that you type in there, and then you can change the password to whatever you want after that. Once it's connected, it'll say connected app, and on here, if you've just started using the camera, it will give you the option to update the firmware. If you're on Wi-Fi, you can actually update firmware right on the app, which is pretty slick. So you want to do that first. And then when it comes to operating the camera, you've got your different modes: video camera mode, photo mode, and if you want to take a picture, you literally just push the button. You have time lapse and photo burst. So in video camera mode, we hit record. It starts giving you a timer, and the cool thing is you have live video feed as you are recording. And then you can go in and view all of your files wirelessly, and you can even live stream. And then when it comes to your camera settings, you just go to settings and you can choose your resolution, frame rate, and field of view and all that. Personally, you can shoot in the 4K 30 frames a second. For aviation, if you don't need the 4K, I like to shoot in 1080p, because the nice thing about shooting in 1080p is you have available 120 frames a second. So 1080, 120 is a nice high frame rate as far as vibration and prop strobing and all of those issues. And then once you get back on the ground, you can turn off Wi-Fi by holding that button down and the light goes out. Wi-Fi again consumes a lot of battery, so the nice thing about the 1500 milliamp battery pack is with the Wi-Fi on, you should still be able to get over 3 hours of record time. If you just want to use the camera manually, you can simply mount the camera up and just go and hit the record button. It'll give you the flashing red light, and the screen in the back turns red, so no matter where the camera is mounted, you should be able to look out in your wing and see that it is recording. The nice thing about this is if you just use it manually and record the entire flight with the 1500 milliamp battery pack option, you should get over 6 hours of record time. And then when you get back on the ground, you just push the record button again, and green means you're back in video camera mode and standby. If you want to change modes, you just push the mode button in the back, and yellow is camera. We've got our time lapse and photo burst. The cool thing is each mode is a different color. And then the last one is your settings menu. So you can actually physically go right on the camera and scroll through and change all of your camera settings if you like. And then to exit the menu, you just push the record button on top and you're back in green. Green means go. Green is video camera mode. Remember that. If you see yellow or a different color and you think you're in video camera mode, all you're going to get is a picture of your takeoff and not the video. So you always want to be in green. And then to power the camera off, we just hold the power button down. You get your 3 beeps and the light goes out and your camera is off. Very easy to use. On the bottom of the camera, we have a mini USB port that will charge your battery. You can download the video data on there, and we also have an audio cable you can plug in there to plug into your intercom and record the aircraft audio. The other door is your memory card, just a micro SD like all the other sports cameras. Personally, I recommend using the fastest possible. You can see in the bottom corner here it says U3. U3 is going to be one of the faster write rates. So the ScanDisk Extreme is probably one of the better cards. You can put in up to 128 gigabyte card in the camera. This camera is water resistant, so flying through rain is not a problem. If you're going to put it on a float plane or submerge the camera, then there is a dive case available that I would recommend to use. It slides right over it, and it has the same 1/4-20 mounting socket on the back side of it. You may find that the camera case feels hot to the touch after it records for a while. The 4K chip generates quite a bit of heat, so the camera case is actually designed to dissipate the heat on the back side of the camera. So if it feels warm to the touch, that's normal. You still don't want the camera to get too hot, so if you're operating in a hot environment, the camera can overheat, but normal operations, if it feels hot to the touch, that is normal. Cool thing is there are 2 microphones also. You have a microphone in the back and one in the front. Nice thing about that is if you're recording a takeoff clip and you want to use some of it, the wind resistance noise will be a little bit better with the rear microphone. So at least until you get up to speed, you would be able to have the engine noise in there and all that. At FlightFlix, we have a prop filter kit that we're coming out with that'll go right on here. So you'll have screw-on prop filters available. Again, we have an audio cable for it and a number of camera mounts. This camera works really well with our Vibex mount. To use this camera with the Vibex mount, you'd use the standard stud adapter, screw that into the camera, then take a 7/16 wrench and just give it a little snug. Take the thumb nut off. Here's your Vibex mount, and you just slide this right into the mount so the stud comes out the back side. Put your thumb screw on. Cool thing is you can rotate the camera wherever you want on the mount. So if you get the mount set up, you just rotate the camera to your desired position, rotate the lens so the shot is level, and then tighten the thumb nut all the way down to the stop. So the Ghost 4K camera comes with a number of sticky mounts and a audio cable and the stock 500 milliamp battery pack along with the wristwatch remote control for $299. For an extra $30, you can get the 1500 milliamp battery pack, and then an extra $60 essentially you can get the touchscreen LCD. So for under $400, you have a complete feature-rich video camera that works great for aviation, tons of battery power, rotating lens, easy to mount, easy to operate, and great 4K video.